Hello friends, welcome back to my After Effects tutorial channel. This is Randy from Rhandz Graphix. So without wasting our time, let's go jump into After Effects. But before that, I'm gonna be showing you what we're gonna be making today, okay? Let's start by creating a new composition. I will change this width to 1000 and the height I will change this to 700. Change the composition name here to logo placeholder. .30 frames per second and 10 seconds duration. Click OK. I will zoom it in. Open this folder assets, open the RG logo. I will drop down the RG logo into the timeline. Press S on my keyboard for the scale. Change the amount here 20%. Then I will go back to composition and create a new composition. I will name it tagline. And I will change the width here to 5000. And the height I will change this to 2500. 30 frames per second and 10 seconds duration. Click OK. Zoom it out. Grab the text tool and type tagline here. I'm using Arial font at 100 pixels, regular and all capital. Align it horizontally. Then press P on your keyboard for the position. I will change the Y position to 1500. Then I will go to composition and create a new composition. I will name it animation 1. And I will change this width to 4K 3840 by 2160. 30 frames per second and 10 seconds duration. Click OK. Then I will highlight these two compositions, drop it down into the timeline. I will highlight this logo placeholder, press P on my keyboard for the position, Shift S for the scale. I will change the scale here to 200%. Then the position, I will create a keyframe by hitting this stopwatch and move my playhead to about 4 seconds duration and change the position on the Y value 880. I will highlight the tagline, move my playhead to 4 seconds and 18 frames duration. Press open bracket key on the keyboard to move that layer. Go to Effects and Preset, Transition, and choose this CC Radial Scale Wipe. I will create a keyframe on the completion. Then move my playhead to 6 seconds and 19 frames duration. Then change the completion value here to 100%. Press U on your keyboard to see the keyframes. Highlight all the keyframes and press F9 to ease it. Let's see what happens. There we go. Go to composition, create a new composition. I will name it animation 2. 3840 by 2160, 30 frames per second and 10 seconds duration. Click OK. Go to the project panel, open this pre-render, drop down this shattered glass into the timeline. Right click your mouse and go to transform, hit comp. Then move your playhead to about 15 frames. Press open bracket key on your keyboard to move that layer. Then go back to your project panel, open this folder texture and drop down this floating dust into the timeline. Right click your mouse, go to transform, hit the comp. Then change the blending mode here to add. I will also change the blending mode on the shattered glass to screen. I will highlight these dust overlays. Press T on my keyboard for the opacity. I will change the opacity here to only 30%. Then I will go back to my project panel and drop down this animation 1 into the timeline. Move back my playhead to the beginning of my timeline. Then I will go to Effects and Preset, go to Distort and choose Transform. Create a keyframe on the position, scale and rotation. I will change the rotation value to 25 degrees. Change the scale here to 0. X value position, change this to 351. Then the Y value, I will change this to 14. Then move my playhead to 15 frames duration. I will change the scale here to 39. Then move my playhead to the 20 frames duration. Change the scale value here to 100%. Position, I will change the X value to 1919. Then the Y value, I will change this to 1077. Then the rotation, I will change this to 0. Press U on your keyboard to see the keyframes. Then highlight these keyframes and press F9 to ease it. Now I will highlight this keyframe. Right click my mouse, go to keyframe assistant, easy ease out. I will highlight this keyframe, right click my mouse, go to keyframe assistant, easy ease out. These keyframes, I will change this to easy ease in. Nice. Now I will go to effects and preset, go to time and use this DC force motion blur. Go back again to effects and preset, go to color correction, go to tint, composition, create a new composition. I will name it animation 3. 3840 by 2160, 30 frames per second and 10 seconds duration. Click OK. I will go to my project panel, open it up. I will highlight this animation 1 and drop it down into the timeline. Go back to the animation 2, highlight this animation 1 and open effects control, highlight the transform, press your keyboard control and hold it. So you can also highlight this motion blur. Go to edit, copy it. Go back to animation 3, make sure this animation is highlighted and go to edit and paste the effects. Then move my play to 4 seconds and 20 frames duration. I will go to effects and preset, go to blur and sharpen. I will add fastbox blur. Change the iteration here to 1 and the blur radius I will change this to 37. Then go back to effects and preset, go to distort, then turbulence displace. Then I will create a keyframe here by hitting this stopwatch on the evolution and move my playhead to 6 seconds and 19 frames duration. And I will change the evolution value here to 180. Then I will move back my play to the beginning of my timeline. Press T on my keyboard for the opacity. Change the value on opacity to 0. Create a keyframe by hitting the stopwatch. Move my play to 5 seconds and 2 frames duration. Change the opacity value to 31. I will highlight this animation 1. Duplicate it by pressing my keyboard Ctrl D and I will delete these effects and press my keyboard U to see the keyframes. And I will delete this keyframe opacity. Change the value on opacity 100%. Highlight this animation 1 below. Press your keyboard P for the position, Shift S for the scale. I will disable the scale proportion here. Change the scale on the X value to 115. Then on the Y value, change this to -31. And the position, change the Y value here to 1800. Like that, as you can see. So now I will highlight this animation 2 and delete this fastbox blur. Now I will open project panel and open project assets. I will drop down this shattered glass into the timeline. I will right click my mouse, go to transform, fit to comp. Change the blending mode here to screen. Move your play to about 15 frames duration and press open bracket key to move that layer. Now go to composition and create a new composition. I will name it main. 3840 by 2160, 30 frames per second, and 10 seconds duration. Click OK. Go back to project panel, highlight this animation too, drop it down into the timeline, right click my mouse, go to time and enable time remapping. Move my playhead to 6 seconds duration, go to edit and split the layer. I will delete this layer. Then go back to the project panel and drop down this animation 3 into the timeline. Also open the assets, go to pre-render and drop down this Luma 1 into the timeline. Move back your playhead to the 15 frames duration. Press open bracket key to move that layer. I will highlight this animation 3 layer, go to edit, split the layer. Delete this layer. Highlight this layer, then right click my mouse, go to time, enable time remapping. Move this keyframe on the 15 frames duration, go to effects and preset, go to distort and choose transform. Then go to effects and preset, go to channel, set matte. Change the take matte from layer to Luma 1 and then change the alpha channel here to luminance. Then I will highlight this animation 3. Press my keyboard Ctrl D to duplicate it. Then press U on my keyboard to see the keyframes. I will delete these keyframes. Then move my playhead to about 2 seconds and 29 frames duration. Create a keyframe by hitting the stopwatch on the scale. Change the amount here to 0. Forward my playhead to 3 seconds and 2 frames duration. Then change the scale amount here to 105. Move my playhead to 6 seconds and 19 frames, and I will move this keyframe remap on that duration. I will close it. I will open the project panel and drop down this Luma 2 into the timeline, and I will disable the visibility on the Luma 2 and Luma 1. Okay, then I will go back to my effects control, highlight this animation 3 above, and I will change this Luma 1 to Luma 2. I will also change the skew here to -5. Then the rotation, I will change this to -4. I will move back my plate to 17 frames duration. I will highlight this Luma 2, press open bracket key to move that layer. Then I will open project panel. I will highlight these parts too, drop it down into the timeline. Move back my plate to 17 frames duration. Press open bracket key to move that layer. Then I will change the blending mode here to add. Then I will go to the light 2, drop it down into the timeline. I will move my plate to 4 seconds and 8 frames. Then press my keyboard open bracket key to move that layer. Then I will right click my mouse, go to time and enable time remapping. I will extend this layer up to 9 seconds and 15 frames duration. And I will move this keyframe on that duration. Change the blending mode here to screen. Go to effects and preset and go to color correction, apply tritone. Double click the midtones to change the color. Change the code here to B2, DC and D0. Click OK. Then again I will open my project panel, drop down these parts 2 into the timeline. I will move my playhead to 4 seconds and 23 frames. Press my keyboard open bracket key to move that layer. Then I will go back to my project panel and drop down this footage into the timeline. I will move my playhead to about 4 seconds and 10 frames duration. Go to edit, split the layer. Delete this layer. Highlight it again, right click your mouse. Go to time and enable time remapping. Move this keyframe to that duration. Then I will go to layer, create a new solid. I will name it distort. Make it comp size, click OK. Go to effects and distort, then choose CC lens. I will change the size here to 388. And I will disable the visibility of this layer. And then I will go to layer again and create a new adjustment layer. Go to effects and preset, go to expression controls, slider control, go back to effects and preset and add transform. Move my plate to the 2 seconds duration. Go to edit and split the layer. Delete this layer. Press my keyboard alt and hold it and press the stopwatch on the position in the transform to create an expression. Then I will type wheel, open and close parenthesis, 7.8, then comma, then I will equip it to the slider control. Then I will add one more, close parenthesis. Then I will move back my blade to the 20 frames duration. Hit the stopwatch on the slider to create a keyframe. Then move your playhead to about 1 second and 2 frames duration. Make the slider amount here to 100. Move your playhead again to the 1 second and 15 frames duration. Change again the amount on the slider to 0. So now let's preview this. Nice. That is what I want. Now I will highlight this 2K light footage, right click my mouse, go to transform with comp. Then I will change the blending mode here to add. Then I will highlight this parts 2 just below the 2K, change the blending mode here to screen. I will highlight the lights 2 and change the blending mode to add. Then I will highlight the parts 2 just below the lights 2. I will change the blending mode here to screen. Then I will highlight the Luma, press U on your keyboard to see the keyframes. Move my playhead to 4 seconds and 27 frames. Move back these keyframes on that duration. Change the time remapping here to 412. Then all I have to do is to go back to my project panel, open this sound effects, and I will drop it down into the timeline. I will close this Luma 1 and I will move my playhead back into the beginning of the timeline. Close this and preview. There you go. So now I'm gonna go to composition and create a new composition. I will name it final. 3840 by 2160, 30 frames per second, and the duration I will change this to 9 seconds. Click OK. Then I will drop down the main into the timeline. Preview this. Our tutorial is done, and I hope guys that you like this video and this tutorial helps you a lot. Don't forget to subscribe, like and comment, or even share it to your friends if you like. My thoughts for today guys is that there's no harm in doing good things, but in doing wrong things there is always a corresponding adverse effects. Okay, so thank you guys for watching and see you next time. God bless.